Hello everyone and welcome to my Profiling Feminist series. Now this series used to be called my Feminist Archetype series, but I changed the name because profiling feminists has such a good ring to it. You know, it's like they're criminals or something. Now in the past I have identified 7 different types of feminists, much like the 7 deadly sins, and I have previously profiled a few of them. But what I want to do today is talk about what I actually mean when I say feminist. The criticism that I get semi-regularly when I make fun of or critique feminists is, but not all feminists are like that. Okay, first of all, if you're making that kind of whiny comment, then you most likely are the kind of feminist that I'm talking about. But second of all, no, you're right actually. Not all feminists are like that. There are a number of distinct stages or waves of feminism to consider, and in fact, not all of it is bad. In fact, much of it is very good, despite some of its more militant proponents. Were it not for early and mid-feminism, I wouldn't have all the rights and protections that I have as a woman today. I would not be equal to men, and I am very, very thankful for the fact that I am. It's only the later stages of feminism that I and other right-wing commentators, and indeed some old-school feminists, take issue with. So let me give you a quick historical overview of feminism and how it has all led to the crap show that it is today. First wave feminism began around the start of the 20th century and consisted of the suffragettes. These women were lobbying to get women the vote, and while some of their methods were a little questionable, they succeeded, and country by country, women gained the right to have a say in who was making policies that affected them. Second wave feminism was about equality of opportunity, so equal access to the workplace, equal access to education, granting women the ability to apply for credit cards and home loans without their husband's permission, access to contraception, and legislation to protect women from wage inequality. That's why I get so annoyed when feminists nowadays complain about the gender pay gap. So, while second wave feminism did have its radical elements that were somewhat unwholesome, the end result was equality of opportunity for women, which was objectively a good thing. But third wave feminism is where things started to get just a little bit hairy. This wave of feminism was primarily concerned with semantics and attitudes. Beginning in the 1990s, this is when words like intersectionality entered the fray, which was originally a good way to explain the complex dynamics of race and gender in society at the time. However, this was hijacked by the miserable and used as a way to inform women of just how many ways they were allegedly oppressed by men. Other identities were added into the mix over time, such as sexuality, the gender spectrum, age, weight, and religion, all of which combined to form a sort of oppression Olympics where contestants compete for victim points. Nevertheless, and despite its flaws, this wave of feminism did raise awareness of attitudes to and the treatment of women, like insisting, for instance, that a casual slap on the butt actually isn't funny, it's really quite gross and might affect a woman's productivity in the workplace, for instance, especially if the treatment is prolonged, or that women should not be blamed or accused of asking for it if they are sexually assaulted. So, in other words, the concept of sexual harassment was coined, which, before it has been taken to the extremes it's taken to today, was undoubtedly a good development in the evolution of society as a whole. However, in the early 2000s, it seemed that these feminist thought leaders began to run out of things to complain about. After all, they'd won a lot of hard-fought victories in the preceding decades, which anyone would think was a good thing. But rather than smile, pat themselves on the back, and enjoy their achievements, the most opportunistic among them started concocting talking points, presumably for fear of losing their sense of identity and purpose, and any income stream that may have gone along with that. Followed by the most militant, insecure, emotional, and low IQ among them, third wave feminists started creating things that were theoretically problematic but had no practical purpose. Terms like manspreading and mansplaining started popping up, along with slut walks, because apparently the best way to protest the objectification of women is to objectify yourself, but, you know, whatever. The advent of social media fanned these flames of frustration bigly and allowed third-wave feminists to congregate in online echo chambers. There they cooked up even more meaningless terminology like microaggressions to create problems that don't exist and called anyone who disagreed with them, which is most people, by the way, uneducated, unenlightened, and misogynistic. This militant online victim feminism movement bubbled away, getting bigger and bigger, especially as universities churned out more and more of them. And thus, fourth wave feminism was born, who are the hand-flapping, hysterical, hyper-intersectionalized, self-loathing, self-contradictory, inconsistent, gender-bending, and above all, regressive little miscreants you see today. And oh, how I hate them.
I hate them. Just hate them.
The fourth wave feminist is a curious creature. Her comrades are a strange substratum of millennial and Generation X women with a peculiar inferiority complex. They are obsessed with picking at the scab of women's lib, trying to draw fresh blood, and can often be seen prowling or lumbering around, attempting to sniff out sexism in every nook and cranny. Theirs is an ideology not of equality, but of misplaced victimhood. In short, fourth wavers are miserable and seek to make other women as perpetually unhappy as they are. Fourth wave feminists are a contradiction in terms. They insist that women should enter the workforce, yet won't shut up about how horrible the workforce is because of the presence of men. They say it's a woman's choice to have children, yet they ruthlessly condescend stay-at-home mums, insisting they are capitulating to traditional gender roles. They plead with women to come out about sexual assault, yet simultaneously discourage them by lamenting the fact that they won't be believed. They are very keen on the idea that physical appearance is not important and are often advocates of the fat positivity movement. And yet, regardless of their insistence that fat is not an insult, they become grossly offended if you dare make a comment about their weight.
Before you slip into your swimsuit, you could start a grueling workout routine and manipulate your natural shape and skin tone to reach for an unattainable and oppressive idea of perfection.
Or you could follow a few quick and easy tips for a self-accepting journey to the beach.
It is evident then that the fourth waver revels in convenient double standards. However, the worst of these is, ironically, a strange form of misogyny, and is starkly revealed in their treatment of right-wing women. In other words, while fourth wave feminists claim that they desperately want more female voices in the mainstream, they really only want them there if they agree with them.
The reason I find that I and other conservative women do cop this kind of abuse specifically from feminists, left-wing feminists, and are defended, but for the most part, by men, actually, is because feminists, I don't think, can tolerate women who disagree with them. And while you talk about wanting more female voices in the public realm, wanting more female voices in positions of power, it seems to me you only want women up there who agree with you.
That's not true. It's not that I only want women up there who agree with me.
Why do you make why have you never attacked my argument, Clementine?
But I have attacked your argument.
When?
As a woman on the right, I have observed with amusement the rampant tanty-throwing that happens when a feminist is confronted by a conservative compatriot. If you have the audacity to stray from the feminist tribe, the sisterhood will hurl insults at you, the likes of which they would condemn as the worst kind of sexism if uttered by a man to one of their own. They will mock the way you look, dress, and talk. They will mock your interests, your upbringing, and the company you keep, and will try to discredit you with rumors, gossip, and fabrication. They will slut-shame you in a way they would vehemently condemn if they or their feminist friends were on the receiving end. The fourth-wave feminist will even find a way to attack your age, especially if she is older than you. Consider, for instance, the scorn with which women who voted for Donald Trump are treated. Rather than acknowledge the severe flaws in their ideology that drove millions of women away from Hillary Clinton, fourth-wave feminists simply deflected responsibility and insisted that women who voted for Trump did so because they were racist and because their husbands told them to.
We do not do well with white men, and we don't do well with married white women. And part of that is an identification with the Republican Party, and a sort of ongoing pressure to vote the way that your husband, your boss, your son, whoever, believes you should.
As such, to the fourth wave feminist, conservative women are deficient. Their opinions are nothing more than a byproduct of their submission to the must-be misogynistic men in their lives. A woman can only be conservative if she is an opportunist, unduly influenced, or has something morally wrong with her. This loophole in the feminist dogma is at best hypocritical and at worst malicious. These feminists attempt to justify this bad behavior by blathering, "Feminists don't have to support all women just because we're feminists." Well, no, of course not. However, a key feminist talking point is this push to give all women a voice and to allow all women to express their opinions freely without fear of misogynistic abuse, online or otherwise. And there are no official qualifiers in feminist dogma as to what these opinions may or may not be. As such, you would think that the instinctual reaction of a feminist to a conservative woman would be to respectfully disagree and encourage civil debate. But instead, their reaction is this. The petty attempts of miserable fourth-wave feminists to intimidate right-wing women into silence are simply evidence of their terror at being exposed for the frauds they are. In the face of the facts, the conservative woman will win the debate every time. And aside from anything else, any woman who has the means to view the world solely through the prism of gender, rather than maintaining a job or paying the bills, needs to take off the pussy hat, put on a bra, and check her proverbial privilege. Ordinary women are sick to the back teeth of being told how terrible they should think their lives are by a hand-flapping mob of middle-class attention-mongers. Perhaps if fourth wavers realize this, they could resurrect what was once a necessary, noble ideology. However, given their extraordinary capacity to eschew self-reflection, I'd say this is the longest of shots. If you liked that video, please remember to like, subscribe, share, leave me a comment, and if you really liked it, then check out the video description for my subscribe star link and other ways you can support me.